You know what's funny? Or at least I think it's funny a little bit. I don't know, in like a comedically dark way. I need to see if the volume is good. The volume's fucking fine. I think one of the reasons why, I think that I was saying something about it being funny, right? Yeah, because I took like 20 fucking minutes to make myself look presentable just so I could talk to a fucking screen. And I think that's what I want this video to be about. Like, the amount of struggle that I deal with on a daily basis when it comes to borderline personality disorder, like having to regulate the fact that I burn bridges way faster than I build them. And I've recognized now that most of the destruction that has occurred socially in my life has been because of me and untreated borderline personality disorder. You know, it's extremely hard to swallow that, to come to terms with that, because I have a hard time admitting fault. I have a hard time admitting that I do things wrong. I have a hard time admitting that I can be wrong about things. And I've done a lot of inner work to be able to recognize that I am wrong in most of the things that I used to believe. Most of the behaviors that I did were wrong. And as I grow as a person and as I develop further, I can look back retroactively and see the destruction that I left behind vividly. And it hurts me because there's nothing I can really do to go back and fix any of that. I have a lot of guilt, a lot of shame. And for some reason, I refused even the notion of getting help. I thought that I always assumed that my emotional development, I would never escape the chrysalis, or like the pupa, or whatever you call it, like the state before the butterfly becomes the butterfly. I thought I would always be in this metamorphosis state. This is the first, well, like 2 years so far that I've been unmedicated for all my conditions. Like, I have schizoaffective, BPD, PTSD. Those are my three diagnoses that I've gotten in my life. And with those three combined, without being on medication, I think I've done decently well. However, I know that I assumed that being without these these medications that fucked with my psychological state, that eventually the numbness, or at least the intensity of my emotions parallel to the numbness, would go away. Like, I wouldn't feel this intense anymore because I would get used to the fact that I'm not numb, is what I'm trying to say. And I still am, like, feeling deeper and deeper. And then that's fucking up my friendships. I could disconnected with most of the people that I was connected with because I was terrified that one day I would get too erratic and I would hurt them the same way how I did to a lot of people in the past whenever I would get overwhelmed. But this time I didn't want to hurt people and I didn't want to do anything hurtful to anyone recklessly without isolating myself first. So that's why I like disappeared from everywhere. And then I got invited to a group of people who were similar to me in terms of being writers and utilizing the same musical software of Suno that I use. And I couldn't even stay there because the connection that I was forging with them was actually hurting me because I couldn't accept that the connection wasn't fake because I assumed that eventually the bomb would go off and I didn't want the bomb to go off. I ended up leaving because, again, it's always me trying to stop a fire before it starts. But I never communicate this with anyone. I just leave, I just disappear. And that's not right. But I don't know really how to, like, I have a hard time communicating with people. And then that ties into the whole identity thing that I didn't know was a BPD component too. I had no idea that my lapse of identity was tied to that. You know, it's like for me, I could look at a mirror and I see a void staring back at me. I don't really see myself. I don't know who I am, or at least I don't know what I'm supposed to be. I can see like the framework of what I've created to try to understand how my brain works, but I don't really know. And I've been trying to find it through music, who I am, what I'm about, what I like, what I tolerate, what I don't like, what I don't tolerate. It's hard. And I mean, and then I lost my disability, so I don't have insurance, and I'm trying to get insurance, and that's been a whole big hassle. I get it, but then it's not the right one, and it's like I guess I'm making this to try to come to terms with myself that I have to do better in trying to understand, despite the fact that I burn emotionally, that I shouldn't expect other people to understand what that's like because most people do not burn emotionally the same way I do. And to put them on the standard that they do and to expect an understanding of something like this is just not fair to anybody that doesn't actually know what I mean when I say third degree burn victim of emotion. You know, it's like I'm not trying to be exaggeratory. That's legitimately how my inner world feels. I know it's exaggeratory in the sense that it's hyperbole, yes, but it's the most adequate description that I can give as to what happens when I feel emotionally wounded by things. But the thing is, it's like what bothers me about the way I feel about things is little tiny insignificant events can set me off as if they're huge or catastrophic events when in reality it could be as simple as a fucking, you know, this went like this and noise was so loud that it would set me off. Like, what the fuck? You know, it's just I want to be at a point where I am in control of my emotions. I'm holding the wheel and I can steer it however I want to turn it instead of being fucking puppeteered by whatever this emotional being is. I know it's me, right? I know. It just sometimes it feels detached from me, like I don't like I'm being controlled, despite me knowing now that it's all my choice. And I think that's the worst part about this whole entire like evolution, or at least awakening, of me realizing how shitty of a person I used to be and how I still am, in a sense that I have a very hard time I have a very hard time just being fucking normal. I can't interact with people and do so without feeling as if I'm under attack, even by something as benign as fucking neutrality. And it pisses me the fuck off because I have not been able, like, I coming to that realization is very fucking hard to deal with because, the implication of that is startling if like for me anyway, because that means, and what I've been unraveling about that, like to me anyway, I could be wrong about this, but if I have an adverse reaction to neutral response, then a lot of the interactions that eventually go south are probably because their neutralness I took as attack, and then I attacked them, and then they attacked me back because they're like, what the fuck? All right, like, and then that just perpetuates the cycle too. So it's like, yeah, I'm trying to just learn about these things so I can get over it. I don't want to be a gun. I don't want to be something that harms. I don't want to get a connection, make them feel like they're my friend, and then I disappear and then they get hurt because of it. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to anyone. I don't want to hurt people. And I guess by doing what I'm doing, I am hurting people inadvertently, which is the only reason why I decided to go on this journey, because I need to get better. That's as simple as that.